5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Michael Meier Show for Real Estate Rockstars. Today, we have a super cool show for you. Today, we have a special guest on this show who's going to be talking with you and sharing with you some of the secrets to his success in creating an awesome blog, a blog that people know of, a blog that people go to, and a blog that drives him leads. We're talking about 1 month. I think he has something like 35,000 viewers or something like that. I don't even know, mind-boggling. Don't know where to begin, but it's going to be exciting. So let me introduce you to the two people that we have here on the show right now. First of all, let me start off with introducing you to Jacqueline at Meier. Hey, Jacqueline.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you again.
So Jacqueline, just if you could quickly introduce yourself and tell everybody what they should be doing as they're watching the show.
Okay, so everybody, as you know, this is a live show. We will be taking questions, interactive questions from the audience. So feel free to comment in the space below, and we'll make sure your questions get answered by our guest today.
Fantastic. And if you are watching this show after it's already been broadcasted, so it's no longer live, you're watching on the replay, still post your questions because we're all watching and we're going to respond to you. So keep that in mind. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the one, to the only, Dustin Brohm. Are you there?
I am. What's going on, Michael? How you doing, man?
What up, brother? How you doing?
Doing awesome. It's snowing in Salt Lake, so that makes me happy.
It is snowing in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Well, I have not yet. Actually, I was in Salt Lake once. Stopped off there once on a road trip. Beautiful
Nice.
place. Dustin, just to give you a brief introduction, then I'll ask you to introduce yourself a little bit further. So first of all, I know that you're an awesome realtor and you're crushing it out there, doing a lot of business and all that great stuff. I also know that you have a phenomenal blog, Search Salt Lake, where I know that you're doing a lot of business off of your blog. And I know that you are here to share with us some of the secrets to your success. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. It's I've been watching this show for a while. You're definitely one of the best real estate shows, so it's an honor to be on. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dustin Brohm. I've been a realtor in Salt Lake for about 5 years, and I'm a husband. I'm a father, and I fell in love, I'd say a year or so ago, with content marketing as a means of marketing my real estate business and helping my clients to sell their homes faster and for more. And I've fallen in love with social media and technology, and it's all I do all day long. And so it's cool to find a business where I can do all that and still have an income and do what I want to do with real estate while at the same time just constantly being on social media.
Awesome. So let me ask you a few key questions just to kind of put you on the map. Number one, how long have you been in the real estate industry for?
5 years-ish.
5 years. What did you do before that?
Dude, I did so many different things. Like I'd consider it wandering aimlessly through life, if you will. Not really knowing what I wanted to do. I did construction. I detailed cars. I had numerous different call center jobs throughout my life. Customer service, collections. What else did I do? I mean, I just did all sorts of different things that none of them are related. And then my broker right now, he's a big mentor in my life, and he turned me on to, actually I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what started it all.
Really?
Yeah. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Kiyosaki, and it opened my eyes not just to real estate, but entrepreneurship and, running a business. And before that, I had no experience with that. So I read that and got into a local investor association, met my broker, and he has been a big inspiration to kind of help me, get to where I am in the business.
Fantastic. Cool. So now you're in the business 5 years. When did you start this blog of yours, Search Salt Lake?
It was just over a year ago. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's been a pretty big success in 1 year. I didn't even know that. I figured that blog was around for like 10 years or something.
I appreciate that. But no, it's really only been like a year, maybe like a year and 2 months or something like that. And it's crazy what's happened in the last year. It's just blown up. It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, working till 2 a.m. sometimes just to because I'm a one-man show right now. I don't really have a crew or a team yet. And so I just have to, do what it takes.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about this blog. What kind of visitors do you get? How often do you post? Just so people have a little bit of context. And then we're going to jump into and dive into, some of your most successful posts, and then to get some advice from you to specifically to agents that either newly just started a blog, maybe don't even have one yet, people that are kind of early in this game, because now that I hear you've done this in 1 year, I think those people are going to really have a lot to learn.
Yeah, you can do a lot in 1 year. It's amazing. But so I blog. Okay, the answer that I want to give is that I blog once a week. Okay, but I don't. There's, I blog a few times a month, 2 or 3 times a month. I'd like to do it once a week, but I try to stay as consistent as possible, while also, see, once you create the content and write a decent article, then you have to work on getting it shared and getting it all over social media and the internet, right? Yeah. So I spend more time working on getting backlinks to my articles and getting other people to share my stuff. I spend more time on that than writing the article to begin with. And so I spend a ton of time doing that. There's so many different things you could write about. And so I just focus on one. I write it. I create some images for it that I think are going to be attention getting in a news feed if someone's scrolling. And then I'll work on putting it up on Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
Gotcha. So a couple of things that I've noticed about your blog is that, number one, you're really good on hitting trend-setting topics. So, for example, we met each other through Snapchat, right?
Yep.
That's how we know each other.
Right.
And when I just joined Snapchat, you had already blogged about it, and you had already gotten a lot of attention for it. Obviously that's a hot topic, and it was even a bigger hot topic a year ago, because it was so new.
Yeah.
And so you may only be doing one post a week or less, but you're doing attention grabbing stuff. So
Yes.
That's interesting to hear. So if a new agent wants to start a blog today, what would you recommend they do in terms of timing, and how do they go about picking a sticky topic?
So first off, here's something that's so important when it comes to, like, if you're going to blog and really do it and really have a decent website that's modern and user-friendly and everything, you get what you pay for. You just do. So I was with this other company that I got a discount through my brokerage. Awful website. It was like $40 a month. And at the time I was like, $40 a month, that's kind of expensive for a website, but I just didn't understand the power of them. So then when I upgraded to my Easy Agent Pro website that I have now, I mean, it was like triple the price or more. But that's when everything took off. And so you could have amazing content. You could have the best articles ever, the best videos, best content in general. But if it's on the wrong platform, if you're loading, it's like if you have a minivan and you're trying to win a race, you're not going to beat a Ferrari, right? Even if the Ferrari's driving slower. So, well, maybe that's a crappy analogy, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, totally get what you're trying to say. I think you're trying to say, if you're in a minivan, you could be the best driver in the world. You're not being the Ferrari unless you crash.
Yeah, exactly. So, you need to have a good quality website first. And then once you have that, you can really make things go quickly by coming up with great content. And I'll just jump right into it. There's so many people. Okay, you're a real estate agent, right? And you think, I need to write about real estate related topics. I disagree, because everyone does that. And honestly, if you're not actively planning to sell your home or to buy a house, and you're not actively trying to learn about the process, you don't give a rip about that stuff. If you saw that in your news feed, you're just going to scroll right past it. I do. I would if I was not in the business. And so you need to create content that's interesting to people, that maybe doesn't have anything to do with real estate, but it's about your city. It's about your area. And so that gets people's attention. And so if you do some content like that, and then maybe, 20% of the time you do a real estate related article or video or a snap or an Instagram story or whatever, you got to make sure that you don't bore people to death so that they tune you out forever.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So yesterday we had a mastermind. We do once a week, a Meier mastermind, where we invite agents from all over New York City. We're a New York City brokerage, and we have people that come in and we discuss topics. And yesterday the topic that we were discussing was creating videos for real estate. What was one of the things that we had a discussion about was that exactly the same thing you're saying. Like 95% of the people that are on social media right now, that are in your Facebook feed are not looking to buy, sell, rent real estate. They're just regular people. And if you talk about real estate, like they're going to tune you out. You're talking to the wrong people. So I completely love what you're talking about. And when I asked you, we went a little messaging back and forth, and I said, well, what are some of the successful blogs that you've said? And you said, well, don't talk about real estate if you want to be successful. Like, wow, that's really a great topic. Can you give us maybe some examples of blog posts that you did, that you talked about things that have been successful for you when you didn't talk about real estate, and how is that success, working for you?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I just noticed this. So you have New York City in the background. I have New York City in the background.
I saw that. I wasn't sure.
What is that? The Brooklyn Bridge? I haven't been.
I on my screen actually some of it's blocked, so I don't see it completely. But yeah,
I think it's the Brooklyn Bridge. But gotta love IKEA. Anyways, so here's some ideas that you can do. Think about what gets your attention when you're scrolling through the news feed, right? Like you just have to reverse engineer it. So one of my most successful articles was, the 10 best kid-friendly parks and playgrounds in Salt Lake. It has nothing to do with real estate, but it's about the city, right? And it's information that people will find interesting, and it gets people to stop scrolling, and it gets shared. We see that type of content shared all the time. Best hikes, best new restaurants, best sushi joints you've never heard of, whatever. That's the type of stuff that you need to be writing about, or even if you're not doing a written blog, be doing videos about it, Instagram stories, snaps, all that good stuff. Because go ahead, man.
So your advice is look on your feed, look at what the conversation is going on. If people are talking about where they're going hiking in your territory, or for me, they're talking about where's the best sushi joint or stuff like that, that's the kind of thing that you would focus on.
Exactly right. Because if you write an article, 5 ways to save money on your next home purchase, like that's so freaking boring. And you maybe get 1 out of 10,000 people to actually give a crap.
Yeah. Jacqueline, I see there I see you have a few, it seems like you have a few questions going out there in the crowd.
Yes, absolutely. So it looks like we have a couple of bloggers out there, and they were asking about writer's block. So I know you mentioned pulling inspiration from the conversation happening on your Facebook feed, but what if you really encounter writer's block? What do you do to pull inspiration?
So when I first started blogging, that was a big concern of mine. And then I realized that, first off, I'm ADD like crazy. And so I have ideas come to my brain all the time. Michael, I know you can relate. So what I do is and I'm sure that these ideas come to everyone. They just need to remember it, right? So create a note on your phone, and every time you have a new idea for a topic, whether it's real estate or not, and ideally it's not, put it on your notepad. All right. And
that's a great idea.
You just have to keep track of that stuff. And then if you feel like, oh, I don't know what to write about this week, go to your list. But since I expanded to this idea of focus on the area, not on real estate, there's an unlimited amount of topics. It's just, there's not enough time. I could have 10 people working 24 hours a day and I still couldn't write all these articles. Just look at your everyday routine, look at what you do, look at what interests you, and then think about what would get your attention on social media related to those things. The 10 best sushi joints you've never heard of. I haven't written that yet, but you better believe I'm about to.
That you've never heard of. Just the never heard of part's going to get the view.
Yeah, exactly. And, the 5 best new coffee shops in town, and, all that stuff, playgrounds, hikes. I haven't been to New York, but I understand there's all sorts of like little secrets of like where to park and which trains to take and all that stuff. I mean, share those secrets, right? People are going to be interested in all that stuff in your local area. And, you know, I really think that anyone who has writer's block, I think they're overthinking it. They're not underthinking it.
So the conversation that we're having, it reminds me a lot of the conversations that we have around video content. And do you feel like it's the same philosophy? It's just one's writing, one's video, but it's the same approach in terms of the type of content. It's all about the documenting of things and not, you're not trying to really create anything. You're just trying to let people know things that they want to know about.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it. Whether it's written or whether it's video, it's the same concept. You're trying to get people's attention and also for them to see you as an expert in whatever it is you're talking about, right? And that could just be they see you as an expert in your neighborhood, which is very valuable if you're looking to buy or sell a home. So yeah, you just need to, I think that's a great way to put it.
One of the things that you mentioned, you were saying something about a type of post that you create that gets a lot of attention. You were mentioning nostalgic posts, something about that. Tell me a little bit about where you were going with that and what's that about?
Nostalgia is so key, man. So some of the stuff that gets my attention on Facebook is like I'm scrolling through and I'll see a photo of like some old toy that I had when I was a kid or a board game that I used to play that I haven't seen in 20 years. You know, you get it, that stuff grabs your attention because you're like, holy crap, it's been so long since I've seen that. And then all of a sudden there it is on Facebook. So nostalgia is so powerful. And so you can use that with your local area to get people's attention locally, right? So one of my posts that I did, a blog article that I did recently was about the old Cottonwood Mall. And you can throw that up on the screen. It was like, I found a bunch of old photos of this mall in Holiday, Utah that had been torn down. It was torn down in like 2009. But anyone who grew up in the Salt Lake area knows the Cottonwood Mall. And they miss it. It was just such a cool mall. I think it was like the second indoor mall in the country, actually. Wow. And yeah, everyone hung out there when they were kids. And so it brings back memories. So I did this article and let's see, I got like, I think I had over 6,000 or 7,000 shares on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I shared it. I think I spent $5 to boost it, maybe $10 to boost it to, people under the age of 40, 45 in Salt Lake. And because those are the people that would really remember it fondly. Mm-hmm. And it just took off. It just went crazy. And here's what's cool. The people watching that are like, they're like, well, how am I going to get leads from it if it's not real estate related? You're going to get a bunch of traffic from it. And most of them are not going to be interested in real estate or have any need to hear about your services. But if they are, now they're on your website. At the same time, they need your advice, they need education, they need your services. So it's just a way to get them onto your site, to get yourself and your brand and everything in front of them so that now you're top of mind. And then if they're not in the market, maybe you'll stay top of mind through continuing to put out awesome local content that interests them. And then when they are in the market to sell or to buy, they remember you.
I see it as the modern day storefront, right? And I think about this from like a brokerage perspective, right? Like back in the day, any store, let's say, why do you buy a store on a street level in New York City? Because people will see you. And let's say you have a hardware store, people will see your hardware store. Is everybody walking by your store looking for a hardware store today or this week or even this month? No. But when they need a new light bulb or when they need something, who are they going to think about? The hardware store. They keep walking by. And so it's important for that hardware store to be there so that they catch you in your moment of need. And I see the same way. It's your hardware store. That's your blog. That's your video.
It's my hardware store, man. Exactly.
It's a beautiful hardware store, by the way. You got an amazing hardware store.
Yes. And very low overhead too, which is great.
You use LED bulbs in your store.
Yes. Well, that's all you can buy these days. Thank you very much. But it is what it is. Yeah. you just have to think about branding, and so many people in real estate are so obsessed with getting leads now. And so they're not, and when they do that, I understand that you have to do that. I do that too. That's why I run ads and stuff. But if you also have to be building your brand in your area so people recognize it and know it. And so that's what you're doing by, content marketing, creating videos and blog posts and, all your stuff on Snapchat and Instagram. You're building that brand. It's the same reason, like, why does Coca-Cola, who everyone knows, why do they spend how many hundreds of millions to put their name on a baseball stadium? Like, they don't need to do that. Everyone knows them, right? They do that because of branding. And if you're thirsty and you're sitting at the ballpark or driving by it or whatever, or see it on TV, if you're thirsty and you see that and you're like, oh, Coke sounds great, and you go get one. That's why. It's branding.
Yeah. One thing I want to throw in there, and then I'm going to jump back to Jacqueline for a second, is a lot of people bring this question up. Why do I need to do a blog? Why do I need to do a video? Why do I need to do all this kind of stuff? Shouldn't I just pick up the phone, go make my cold calls, go buy leads from Zillow, whatever it may be, to actually talk to a live, real person today? And I have a really strong opinion on this because I grew my business on cold calling.
Right.
And I grew my business on lead gen, and I still do a ton of it. But the difference nowadays from now and 10 years ago is that now every time I meet a new client through a cold call, through a Zillow, through a paid lead source, whatever it may be, a targeted post, I now have the ability to stay in front of those people. So instead of just finding people looking to move today, I now build a future so that I don't have to work as hard. Every year I get to work a little bit less and make the same amount of money. And I don't work any less because I'm looking to make more money. But if I wanted to, I could just work less and less and less and have the blog and have the video pay the bills.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how I've looked at it, how I see it. And it's been phenomenal. I get so much business out of all these different sources nowadays.
I think that's a great perspective to have. And, I get asked that a lot. Like, why do I need a website? Why do I need to do this stuff? And here's the thing. I do think you need to have a website no matter what. Even if you're the best cold caller on the planet, you need to have a website and you need to have a great social media presence, because that is the real world. Like, you have to be visible everywhere. Even if you make a great cold call and meet someone and get an appointment, they're going to Google you as soon as you hang up the phone. So you better be found, right? And you better have some positive stuff. But does everyone need to blog to be successful? Hell no. I know a lot of agents that kill it by door knocking, by calling for sale by owners and expireds and everything like that. But here's the deal. I hate doing that stuff. It's not my personality. And when I don't enjoy it, I'm no good at it. I don't have any success, which makes it that much worse. And, so I just realized that I need to focus on something that I'm good at, that I enjoy doing, and then just double down on that and focus on that only. So if you're a cold caller, if you're a door knocker, you market to expireds and FSBOs and it's working, keep doing it. But at the same time, work a couple extra hours a day and build your online presence, because it's really going to pay dividends down the road.
Yes, serious dividends. So Jacqueline, do we have any questions from the crowd? Any good questions out there?
Yes. So it seems we have an agent who's looking to get into blogging, hasn't done anything yet, and they want to know, how important is scheduling your blog? Should you have a set day that you do this every month, or should it just be a free-flowing, anytime you get inspired kind of thing when you're first starting out?
That's an excellent question. So, and I'm probably not the best one to ask, because I run around like a chicken with his head cut off. I'm trying to do so many different things, and it's pissing me off that now Instagram's adding all these new functionalities that I can't ignore, so I have to do Snapchat and Instagram stories. But it does help if you schedule time to do these things. That's a weakness of mine, is sticking to a schedule. So if you're starting out, it's such a great opportunity for you to set the right foundation. If you decide, hey, I'm going to blog on Sunday morning, do it every Sunday morning. And so if you're just getting started, you actually have an advantage because you don't have any bad habits yet. You can set the right foundation. But yes, scheduling is key and will help you accomplish more. You also have to, and this is hard to do, you have to build in some flexibility, because as you start to do this, then you're going to get busy eventually, right? Like maybe it's 4, 5, 6, 7 months into it, all of a sudden you start getting all these leads organically through Google that are finding your article that's on page 1, and you've got to be able to now service those clients in addition to all this stuff. So it just makes scheduling that much more important.
Yeah, time blocking is definitely key.
Yeah.
Dustin, let me ask you, what has been the, do you even know what's been the most successful blog post you ever wrote?
Most successful blog post, yeah, I believe it is I have a few of them that are around like 7,000 or 8,000 shares. That Cottonwood Mall nostalgia post was one of them. One of the first ones I ever did was I did a roundup article where you get other people and feature them in your article, and it gets them to share your article because it helps them. It was like the 25 top real estate experts on Twitter. And that one, I know on Twitter, back before Twitter shut off their counting of shares, I think that thing was reaching like 50,000 shares on Twitter. But
Wow.
it's crazy. But the other networks, I think it's 8,000, 9,000 shares. That's probably the number one. And then I wrote an article, and here's another example of ideas you can do. So Topgolf. I didn't know what Topgolf was until they started building one down the street from my house in the middle of Salt Lake. And I was like, Topgolf, what is this place? It looks huge. And so I Googled it, and I find out it's this awesome golfing driving range meets Dave & Buster's meets bowling alley type place. Like it's unbelievable. And people are excited about it, and they're curious about it. So I wrote an article, Topgolf is coming to Salt Lake City. And I just took some information off Topgolf's website that explained what it was, and I embedded some videos and shared the crap out of it. And because the image got people's attention on Facebook, they started reading it, they started sharing it. And a couple months later, I got called by someone in the marketing department at Topgolf corporate. And I was like, oh crap, they're pissed that I was using their videos or something. And they're like, hey, we noticed your article is killing it. We'd like to invite you out to our media night before we open up so you can take a look.
Wow.
So yeah, my wife and I went out and had fun, and everything was free. And it was just cool because that was ranking above some of Topgolf's corporate articles here locally. If you Google Topgolf Salt Lake, you'd find my article first.
That is cool. Jacqueline, any other questions we got out there?
Yes. So Dustin, how focused on SEO are you for your articles? Like how much emphasis do you think that has on the success of your blog?
It's very important. You really have to, here's how I'll put that. It's very important, but you don't have to go so overboard that you're like, so obsessed with every little thing. There's some plugins that you can get for your blog. My Easy Agent Pro website has this thing called Find Me. It's similar to another one that a lot of WordPress sites use called Yoast. And it's an SEO guide. So based on what you're writing, it counts your words, and it tells you, okay, based on how many words you've written, you need to have your keyword that you're trying to rank for mentioned this many times. You need to have this many images. You need to do this and do that. And so it guides you with all the important stuff. You definitely need to do that and master that and learn how that works. But SEO can get so damn complicated and I don't know that stuff. I'm above average when it comes to SEO, but I'm no expert by any means. And I don't think you need to be successful.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems to me like for you, content comes first. Content is the most important thing. The story is the most important thing. And the SEO is like, you got to do it, but like, it's like giving a speech. If your story is really good, even if you're not the best orator, you're decent, you're still going to move the crowd because the story is that good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I want to say that they're equally important, but if you have a piece of crap article that no one cares about and it's just awfully written, you could have the best SEO in the world and still no one's going to read it, because Google now knows whether or not people are reading it based on how much time they're spending on your site, and if it's being shared on social media and stuff. So they know if it's crap. And so you've got to have great content and a good handle on SEO too, but content is king. There's no doubt about that.
Dustin, it seems like we have a few questions, a few people asking about this. What platform would you recommend someone start their blog on?
It depends on your budget, right? So personally, I use Easy Agent Pro, and it's a WordPress-based site for real estate agents. I'm in love with it. It's very inexpensive for the value you get, but people with huge budgets, there are better options out there, but you might be spending $10,000 or more for a website when I'm spending like $160 a month. So I don't think you need to have one of those crazy expensive sites. Can you get more business with it? Yeah, but I don't think so. If you have no budget whatsoever, just start writing on Medium. Medium's a great way to get discovered and to practice, and it's not going to help you personally with an SEO of your own domain or anything like that, but it's a way to get exposure for your articles, and it's completely free. But I'd recommend most people go with some sort of WordPress-based blog.
Easy Agent Pro. So is it like it's your website, you own it? Like if you stop paying Easy Agent Pro, like do you lose your website?
Yeah, you do. Well, and honestly, I don't fully understand, I've never had that happen, but I don't fully understand exactly how that works. But I believe, so what I'm paying them for is their template. All right. So the whole layout and everything is theirs. I just put the content on it within their template, and they host it. They service it. They add other functionality on top of it, like, other apps, like, when a lead comes in, you can automatically have a text message sent to them and stuff like that. But as far as like the content and everything, I own all that, but I'm just using their platform, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I gotcha. It sounds like for somebody that's just starting, keep it simple. Easy Agent Pro is one option where you just go in there, you spend a couple hours probably watching some tutorial videos, and you could just go.
Yeah. And I didn't come here to plug for them, but that's just who I use, and I'm super stoked with them. And the name says it all. They make it easy, whether you're just starting out, you've had your real estate license for a month, or maybe you've had it for 30 years. It doesn't matter. My good friend Shannon Milligan in Richmond, Virginia, where Michael, she just switched over to an Easy Agent site, and she said the other day she wished she would have listened to me 6 months ago when I was telling her to do it. It just makes it easy.
Yeah. Awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So Dustin, as we wrap up the show, do you have any other advice that you would give to an agent who is thinking about starting a blog and, wanting to grow their business in that way? And that is also, most agents, especially in our marketplace in New York City, expenses are high. It's very expensive to live here, and they really need to try to make money as soon as they can. So with that in mind, they're concerned with money. Do you have any other advice that you might want to, parting advice from for someone who's killed it in 1 year in the blog space?
Definitely. So and this is something I didn't fully grasp when I got started, so I'm glad you asked. When you're blogging the way that I am, what you're writing for, you're not going to really you're not going to get organic business for maybe 6 months, maybe more, maybe it's 8 months, depending on how competitive your space is and how competitive the keywords are that you're trying to rank for in Google. So if you want to start blogging today, you can't plan on getting paid the next month. It's not going to happen. So you need to start running some ads. You can create the content and then boost it on Facebook. You can target people specifically in certain areas and demographics and everything like that. You've probably had Facebook ads covered on the show before, I imagine.
Yeah, it's an evolving topic. Every day could be a new show on Facebook advertising.
Seriously, every day is new with Facebook ads. They're constantly innovating. It's crazy, but that's a good way just to speed it up, because the dream is to just have someone Google Salt Lake City real estate and boom, they find you number one. That will happen over time if you have great content and you focus on SEO and you do it consistently. But we're talking at least 6, 8, 9 months, maybe more, depending on your market. So create some great content and then share it on Facebook. Run some Pinterest ads, run some YouTube ads for some videos. If you have a decent website that has good landing pages, like lead capture pages, and you can run specific ads like, are you looking to get a bigger home? Well, here's a list of bigger homes, at least 2,500 square feet in Salt Lake County for no more than, 600K or whatever. And then people go to that landing page, they opt in, they get access to those homes, and then you can contact them and follow up with them. So I would absolutely recommend you create the content, of course, but then figure out how to run some ads to get traffic to those quickly.
Gotcha. Great advice. I want to wrap up here with just some quick thoughts and observations. Obviously we have lots of different shows where we cover lots of different topics on the Michael Meier Show for Rockstars. And what I want people to keep in mind is the following. Number one, don't get overwhelmed, right? There's a lot of options out there. You could be someone that focuses on video and has a video blog. You could be someone that really loves to write and has talent at writing. It doesn't spell everything wrong like me. And, and they're going to be having a blog. Everybody's going to have a different thing that they're going to do. The most important thing is to find one thing, and really devote all your focus and attention to it. And what I loved about this show, and one of the great reasons why I wanted to bring Dustin on the show, is not only because he has a successful blog that's getting a lot of traffic, but because the type of things that he's doing to get that traffic are translated to a variety of different mediums. So you were talking about nostalgia, and I was just thinking, if I went right now to do a video and I found somewhere like an old school Pac-Man machine, and I just went live on Facebook playing Pac-Man, probably gonna get a lot of likes. Everyone's gonna, at least I remember being a kid going to play Pac-Man, like dating myself here, but I'm older than I look. So, but that's what I really loved about some of the stuff that you're sharing here, that it is not platform specific.
Exactly. Yeah, you bet.
Dustin, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how should they reach you? To give us, how can people reach out to you?
I'm very easy to find. Google my name or plug my name into whatever social network you're on. You'll find me. And, the only major one I'm not on is Musical.ly. So, find me on Snap, Instagram, whatever. I'm Google search Salt Lake. You'll find me. Awesome.
Great. Well, I want to thank you very, very much. I'm finding you right now on Snapchat right here. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This is the Michael Meier Show for Real Estate Rockstars. Jacqueline, thank you so much for, being involved with us in the show and bringing life to the party, as you always do.
Of course. I love it. Great meeting you, Dustin.
Yeah, you too, Jacqueline. Thank you.
If anybody wants to reach out to us, you can reach out to me, Michael Meier, michaelmeyernyc.com, Michael Meier NYC in any of your social platforms, Meier Real Estate. And please just put your comments inside this video. We will always respond to it. Justin is really great at getting back to you. So if you have any questions about starting the blog or anything like that, honored, Dustin, that you would spend the time to get back to people. Thank you so much for all of that.
Absolutely, man. It's been fun. Thank God for Snapchat that we were able to meet, right?
Yes, really. So many awesome people. I feel like I was under a rock till Snapchat.
It almost feels like that, huh? It just makes the world that much smaller, or bigger, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show, man. This is a great show.
My pleasure. All right, take care. Bye, everybody.